Good morning, all of you. Good morning. How are you all? Fine? Okay. Let's start our lesson now. Are you all ready? Yes. So, Unit 2, A Reading, Oliver Asks for More, written by the famous author Charles Dickens. And the aim of this lesson is to make you understand the social issues of our country. Which social issue we are discussing in this lesson? Child labor, isn't it? Okay. So our today's agenda is introduction of the topic, vocabulary explanation, and at the end of the session, I will give you a small homework. And here we go. In this particular unit, we have three sections: reading A, Oliver Asks for More; reading B, The Cry of Children poem; reading C, Reaching the Unreached. Before we start the lesson, we will go ahead with the vocabulary section. See here, students, the first word which is given here is whisper. Already I have explained this word in the previous session, isn't it? So what do you mean by whisper? Whisper, it means, wait for a moment. Okay. Stay for a moment. Okay, right. Okay, the word is whisper. What do you mean by whisper? Speak very softly using one's breath rather than one's throat, especially for the sake of secrecy. When you want to convey a message in a secret manner, what do people usually do? You will whisper in somebody's ears, isn't it? Okay, see the example here. Did she whisper in your ear at the meeting? So during the meeting, did she whisper something in your ear? It means she wanted to convey a message that should not be passed to another person, only to you. So whisper, it means speak very softly using one's breath rather than one's throat, especially for the sake of secrecy. So if you want to convey a secret message to a person who sits nearby you, then you can whisper in his ears. Next, you don't have to whisper. No one can hear us. It means in that room only two persons are there. So in that case, you don't have to whisper. You can speak a little louder. No one can hear us because there is nobody closer to us. So whisper, it means speak very softly, especially when you want to convey a message which is very secret. See the next word, stupefy. What do you mean by stupefy? Stupefy, it means make someone unable to think or feel properly. He was stupefied at the news. So he heard a news which was very horrible maybe. He was stupefied, he was stunned, surprised. So he was unable to speak after hearing that news. See the second sentence here. She was stupefied with cold. As the climate is very cold, she was unable to think or feel properly. She was unable to feel properly. Maybe she was freezed. She was stupefied with cold. So stupefied is a situation where you are unable to think or feel properly. The next word is astonishment. What do you mean by astonishment? Astonishment, it means great surprise. She looked at him in astonishment. She looked at him in great surprise. To her astonishment, to her great surprise, he smiled. So she never thought that he would smile. But to her surprise, to her great surprise, he smiled. Cling. Hold on tightly to. When you're going to market, when you were a child, when you were going to market, how do you catch your mother's arm? It means hold on very tightly, isn't it? So she clung to Joy's arm. Small children cling to their mothers. So this is very usual thing. Small children, when they are very young, they used to cling to their mothers. They used to hold tightly on mother's arms. Next word is nudge. Okay, nudge. What do you mean by nudge? Nudge, it means a slight push or shake. A slight push or shake is called a nudge. When your teacher calls you, your friend will slightly push you. That can be called as a nudge. I gave him a nudge to wake him up. So he was sleeping. I gave him a gentle push or a gentle shake to wake him up. Hannah gave me a gentle nudge. Gentle nudge, it means a small or a light push. A light push. Desperate. So this is a very common word in English. See, and learn the meaning of it as well. Feeling or showing a hopeless sense that a situation is so bad as to be impossible to deal with. So a very hopeless situation. A very hopeless situation to deal with. You are unable to deal with. His failure made him desperate. His failure made him desperate. It means that he had a hopeless sense in his mind. So I cannot do anything further. That is what he thinks now. They are in a desperate need of food and shelter. They are not getting. So there was a flood. Suppose there was a flood. So during that time, there was no food and shelter. Then they are in a desperate need of food and shelter. Reckless. You might have seen a lot of reckless persons in your life, isn't it? Irresponsible persons. Reckless. Reckless, it means irresponsible. A reckless person, it means an irresponsible person. A reckless driving, it means an irresponsible driving. It may cause accident. She was charged with reckless driving. She was arrested. She was charged with reckless driving. As she was driving recklessly, irresponsibly, she was arrested or she was charged. A case was filed against her. That is what it means. She was a good rider, but reckless. She can drive very well. She can drive very well, but she was reckless, irresponsible. So you all have the ability to study hard, isn't it? Are you doing that? You are reckless. You don't mind that because you are getting all the facilities at your home. You may not find enough time to go ahead with studies. Now you have mobile phone. Now you have TV. So you will become reckless. You will not be caring about your studies as you are staying at home from the day and night. I mean, you are staying in the home during day and night. You are not coming to school to learn something. Hang. Hang has many meanings, isn't it? But in our textbook, it means that kill. Kill someone. Hang, it means kill someone. Kill by tying a rope attached from above around their neck, especially a capital punishment. As a capital punishment, if you have committed some murders, you will be hung. By tying a rope attached from above around their neck and removing the support from beneath, often used as a form of capital punishment. You might have heard about it. You might have seen in movies, isn't it? He was hanged for murder. So he killed a person. That's why the court adjudged him to be hung. The king ordered them to hang the murderer. The king ordered them to hang the murderer. Murderer, it means a person who killed somebody. So the king ordered them to hang the murderer. Wink. What do you mean by wink? Wink, it means close and open one eye quickly. Close and open one eye quickly. Typically to indicate that something is a joke or a secret or as a signal of affection or greeting. So usually when you crack a joke, when you say a joke, you may wink your one eye, simply I said, isn't it? Closing your one eye and opening it. She winked at Ravi as he passed. When Ravi was going, she just winked at Ravi. The strong wind made me wink. So there was a strong wind. It directly came to my face. Then what I did was just closed my eyes and opened. So this is a common thing, isn't it? Okay, contradict. Another good word here. Deny the truth. Contradict, it means to deny the truth of a statement by asserting the opposite. The shy girl was afraid to contradict. So the girl was very shy and she was afraid to deny the truth. When somebody told a lie, you know that it was a lie, but you did not say a word. That is what meant here. They contradict each other all the time. What do you mean by that sentence? They contradict each other all the time. It means that they argue each other all the time. They argue each other all the time. Okay, let's go to the next slide. prophetic. Accurately predicting what will happen in the future. Prophetic words. It means a prophet. Who is a prophet? A person who predicts about the future. A person who predicts about the future. Astrologers are also there. A kind of astrologer, right? What do you mean by an astrologer? A person who predicts your future. He will see the lines of your hands and he will say that you will marry twice and you will have 5 kids. Isn't it? Have you heard about that? Astrologists? Okay. Accurately predicting what will happen in the future. His warnings about the journey proved prophetic. It means whatever he predicted was right. So his warnings about the journey, when they were planning for a journey, a person had predicted something. So it became true. A young girl in the village experienced a prophetic vision. A young girl in the village experienced a prophetic vision. It means she might have seen a dream, what is going to happen in the future. A dream in which she might have seen something that is going to happen in the future. Prophecy, prophetic, prophet. Prophet is a person who can predict something about the future. Astrologer is also a same word, isn't it? Confinement. Confinement, it means imprisonment, putting in a prison. As you have, when you have committed a crime, they will take you to a jail, isn't it? So that is what is called a confinement. He spent 11 years in solitary confinement. So he spent 11 years in solitary confinement. It means alone in a jail room, alone in a jail room. They were held in confinement for 3 weeks. They might have done something wrong. That's why they were arrested and put in a prison and was put in a prison. So they were held in confinement for 3 weeks. Apprentice. What do you mean by apprentice? A person who is learning a trade from a skilled employer, having agreed to work for a fixed period at low wages. So suppose you have completed your graduation, maybe MBBS, you became a doctor. Suddenly you can go and set up a clinic somewhere else. You cannot do that because you need experience to work somewhere. So that you will go under an experienced MBBS doctor and you will be trained for 1 year or 2 years. Then only you can independently set up a clinic. When you have completed a course, software engineering, suddenly a multi MNC will take you in. No, they will absorb you into the company and they will check whether you are able or not for 6 months. So in that period, you will be given very less wages also, maybe 30% or 40% of the wages. So after 6 months, if you are able, if you have proved your caliber, then they will appoint you as an employee. Still then you are just an apprentice. He became an apprentice tailor at the age of 10 or 11. At the age of 10 or 11, he went to a person, a tailor, and he started learning from him. That is what it meant. She works in the hairdressers as an apprentice. You can also do that. Hairdressers, barber shop, isn't it? So you can go and learn how to cut hairs. First, whenever you reach there, you will be given some head to cut hairs. No, you will be trained. That period you can be taken as an apprenticeship. And the next word is depict. What do you mean by depict? Represented by a drawing, painting, or other art form. Her paintings depict the lives of ordinary people in the last century. Her paintings depict, represents, depict, it means represents the lives of ordinary people in the last century. See the second example. The advertisements depict smoking as glamorous and attractive. So you might have seen a lot of advertisement in which people smoke cigarettes. So in some advertisements, not some, all the advertisements, it represents, it shows smoking as glamorous and attractive, but you must not be taken it as same, isn't it? So these are the hard words that we have to learn from this part of the session. And now we will directly go to the lesson. I think we have stopped here. In the last session, we have covered this paragraph as well. So I will just read the last paragraph that we have learned. God so voracious and wild with hunger that one boy who was told for his age Just a second. So from here I am starting. Okay. God so voracious and wild with hunger that one boy who was tall for his age and hadn't been used to that sort of thing, for his father had kept a small cook shop, hinted darkly to his companions, and unless he had another basin of gruel per day, he was afraid he might some night happen to eat the boy who slept next to him, who happened to be a weakly youth of tender age. So one day what happened is that a tall boy, he said that if I am not getting one more basin of gruel per day, I may eat the small boy who lays beside me during night. He had a wild, hungry eye. They believed him. So the remaining all the children who are staying in that workhouse, they were very small and they believed the tall boy's words. A council was held, a meeting was held. Lots were cast as to who should walk up to the master after supper that evening and ask more. And it fell to Oliver Twist. There we stopped our previous session. So from here we will start. The evening arrived. The boys took their places, the master in his cook's uniform. So during the evening, what happened? The boys came to the dining hall. The master in his cook's uniform stationed himself at the copper. So he moved towards the copper along with his assistants. And his assistants ranged themselves behind him. So the master and his assistants, they came to the room to serve out the gruel. The gruel was served out. The gruel disappeared. You know that the gruel was not sufficient for the children who are staying in that workhouse. So the gruel disappeared. The boys whispered to each other. Now what is going to happen? Oliver had to go and ask the master. He needs one more basin of gruel. And everyone winked at Oliver. They signaled at Oliver. Oliver, you make a move now. You go and ask master for one more basin of gruel. So while his next neighbors nudged him, what do you mean by nudged? A gentle push. So they gently pushed Oliver forward. Child as he was a child, he was desperate with hunger. Oliver also wanted to eat something more, isn't it? The food was not sufficient for him, and reckless with misery. Reckless. What do you mean by reckless? Irresponsible with misery. He rose from the table and advancing to the master. He stood up and he moved towards the master. Basin and spoon in hand, said, somewhat alarmed at his own courage, please, sir, just a second. Please, sir, I want some more. So Oliver said that he wanted to get some more gruel. Okay, the evening arrived. The boys took their places. The master in his cook's uniform stationed himself at the copper. His assistants ranged themselves behind him. The gruel was served out. So the master came to the room along with his assistants. Then the gruel was served out. And what happened is that they wanted to ask for some more gruel. That's why they pushed Oliver friend. And Oliver, now it is your turn to go and ask for one more basin full of gruel. For what purpose? To give to the tall boy. Otherwise, the tall boy will eat the small boy who sleeps beside him. Isn't it? The situation is dangerous because all the other boys, they believed that this tall boy is going to eat the small boy. That's why Oliver moved forward with his basin and spoon, and he asked the master, please, sir, I want some more. See the next paragraph. The master was a fat, healthy man. You know that the master was a fat, healthy man. Children in the workhouse, they are not getting enough food, but the master was able to get more food, isn't it? Okay, the master was a fat, healthy man, but he turned very pale. When he heard Oliver ask for some more gruel, then he turned very pale. His face became less brightened. Brightened as he was heard a news which was not pleasant. He gazed in a stupefied astonishment. He got surprised too much because this is the first time a boy comes forward and asking for more gruel. In his life, he might have never faced such a situation. He gazed in a stupefied astonishment on the small rebel for some seconds. A small rebel. Who is considered to be the small rebel here? Oliver is the small rebel. What do you mean by rebel? Rebel is a person who wants a social change and he fights for it. Usually a rebel, it means a person who fights against the government to make some changes in the society. So he gazed. Who gazed? The master gazed, looked in stupefied astonishment, in a great surprise on the small rebel. It means surprised at Oliver for some seconds and then clung for support to the copper. He lost his consciousness, maybe. The master might have lost his consciousness. He clung tightly, hold tightly for the support of the copper. The assistants were paralyzed with wonder. The assistants also never thought that somebody will ask for more gruel. The assistants, they were paralyzed. It means became motionless. They were unable to make a move because they heard something horrible, isn't it? The assistants were paralyzed with wonder. The boys with fear. The boys, I mean, Oliver's companions, those who were staying with Oliver in the workhouse, they all got feared. Once again, let me read that paragraph. The master was a fat, healthy man, but he turned very pale. Why he turned very pale? Because he heard what Oliver said. Oliver wanted some more gruel. He gazed, he looked in stupefied astonishment on the small rebel for some seconds. Don't forget this word as well, rebel. And astonishment, it means a great surprise. Stupefied, it means a situation where you cannot make a movement, or you are unable to think properly, and then clung for support to the copper. The assistants were paralyzed with wonder, the boys with fear. I hope you understand that paragraph. Let's move on to the next paragraph. What? Said the master at length in a faint voice. What? In a surprising voice, said the master at length in a faint voice. His voice had fainted. Please, sir, replied Oliver, I want some more. Actually, Oliver needed some more. No, Oliver wanted to get one more basin full of gruel and he must give it to the tall boy because the remaining all the boys except the tall boy, they were afraid of the tall boy. The master aimed a blow at Oliver's head with the ladle, that long spoon. The master had taken that long spoon. He aimed a blow at Oliver's head with that ladle and struck aloud and shouted aloud for the beadle, because he wanted to inform the beadle that Oliver had asked for some more food. The board was sitting in solemn meeting at that time. When this was happening in the dining hall, at that time, the board members, they were attending a meeting, a solemn meeting. A solemn, it means a very serious meeting. Underline the word solemn there, and a meeting. A solemn meeting, it means a very serious meeting. They were discussing something very seriously. When Mr. Bumble rushed into the room, came very fast into the room in great excitement, and addressing and speaking, the gentleman in the high chair said, Mr. Limpkins, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. It means, excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Oliver Twist has asked for more. So he is informing the board that Oliver Twist had asked for some more food. There was a general start. Horror was depicted on every countenance. There was a general start. Horror, fear was depicted on every countenance. Horror was depicted, it means represented on every countenance, it means every face. Countenance has another meaning also. It means a person's facial expression. A person's facial expression, countenance. Here it means face. So when the board heard that Oliver had asked for more food, what you could see on the face of the board members, horror was depicted on every countenance. Horror was depicted on every face of the board members. For more, said Mr. Limpkins, compose yourself. Say clearly, Bumble, and answer me distinctly. Another good word here. distinctly. Distinctly, it means in a clear manner. Speak distinctly. Speak clearly. He spoke indistinctly. It means he spoke unclearly. The voice was not clear. So underline it. Learn the meaning of that word. It is also a very commonly used word in English. Distinct, indistinct. Okay. Do I understand for more? After he had eaten the supper allotted by the board, already we had allotted one basin full of rice to each and every child who are staying in that workhouse. But after eating that allotted food, then also he asked for one more basin full. Is that what he said? For more. Once again, I will go ahead with that paragraph. For more, said Mr. Limpkins. Compose yourself, Bumble, and answer me distinctly. Answer me clearly. Do I understand that he asked for more food? After he had eaten the supper allotted by the board, already for supper, the board members have allotted that only one basin full of gruel. But after eating that also, Oliver had asked for one more basin full. Is that what he said, Mr. Bumble? Who asked Mr. Limpkins? He said, sir. He did, sir, replied Bumble. Yes, Oliver had asked for more food after he had eaten the allotted amount of food. Who's that? Mr. Bumble said. Then board members will be board members may take a decision against Oliver now, isn't it? If today Oliver asked, tomorrow somebody will ask, it will be a problem for the board. It will be a problem for the workhouse, isn't it? They have to prepare more food. They have to spare more amount for the food for the children in that workhouse. Let's move on to the next paragraph. That boy will be hung. That boy will be killed. So hung, already I said that a rope around your neck and killing a person, especially as a capital punishment. So one of the gentlemen in the white waistcoat, he says that that boy will be killed. Is that a crime? Oliver just asked for some more gruel. Is that a crime? They wanted to kill him because Oliver asked for some more gruel. That boy will be hung, said the gentleman in the white waistcoat. I know that boy will be hung. There is no other way. We must kill him. That is what we have to do. Oliver just asked for some more gruel. That is the crime he had committed. Is that a crime? No. Being a child, he must eat some food which contains vitamins, minerals, and all, isn't it? But is he getting that all in the workhouse? No, he is not at all getting anything like that. That boy will be hung, said the gentleman in the white waistcoat. I know that the boy will be hung. Nobody contradicted the prophetic gentleman's opinion. Nobody contradicted. Nobody said something against. Nobody said something against the prophetic gentleman's opinion. Who is the prophetic gentleman? See the earlier sentence. The gentleman in the white waistcoat. What he said, the boy will be hung. The boy will be killed. So nobody contradicted. Everybody's opinion is the same. All the board members, they thought the same. They all wanted to get Oliver killed. And a prophetic gentleman's opinion. Prophetic, as I said earlier, a prophet is a person who thinks something, who predicts something about the future. A prophecy, it means a prediction regarding the future. Nobody contradicted the prophetic gentleman's opinion. An excited discussion took place. Then they started making a discussion what to do with this Oliver, because he had asked for some more food. So tomorrow there may be 4 or 5 children will come and ask us for more food. Can we provide food to all? No. So already we have allotted one basin full of rice, not rice, gruel. So if each and every children in that workhouse is asking for more gruel, the situation will be different. An excited discussion took place. So the board members started discussing something about Oliver's future. Oliver was ordered into instant confinement. At that moment itself, they decided that Oliver should be put in a prison. Oliver should be put in a prison. Oliver must be sent to a jail, confinement, imprisonment. So if you ask one more plate of rice from your parents, will they keep in a room? No. they will happily give you food, isn't it? Your parents will be very happy when you are asking for some more food. They wanted you to eat more. But the same thing had happened here also. Oliver had asked for a little bit food more. But the board decided that he should be sent to confinement. He should be sent to a jail. He should be imprisoned. And a bill was next morning pasted on the outside of the gate, and you could see a notice outside of the gate of the workhouse. What was the content of that notice? Offering a reward of £5 to anybody who would take Oliver Twist off the hands of the parish. So the workhouse, the parish, they wanted to send Oliver out. If anybody wants Oliver, we will give you Oliver and we will give you £5 also. £1 is equal to 85 Indian rupees, isn't it? £1. A pound is the currency of England. Pound is the currency of England. Dollar is the currency of America. So the next day morning, you could see a notice on the gate of the workhouse. What was in that notice? They wanted to send Oliver out of the workhouse. That is what the board members needed. In that case, if somebody is taking Oliver Twist, they will give a reward of £5 also. They will give a reward to the person who takes Oliver, a £5 also. In other words, £5 and Oliver Twist were offered to any man or woman who wanted an apprentice to any trade, business, or calling. So, slavery, it's a kind of slavery, isn't it? Here, the parish is sending Oliver out of the workhouse. So, whoever is taking Oliver, they will be offered £5 also, and they can take him as an apprentice to any trade, business, or calling. It means that they can take Oliver for any sort of work. If you want to get Oliver as a servant, you can take Oliver to your home, and you will be given £5 also, and you can make him work like anything else. So this is the lesson. So actually Oliver did not do anything wrong. What crime was committed by Oliver is that he just asked for a basin full of gruel more, and that too not for him but for the tall boy. If you want to get more details about this story, you have to buy the book Oliver Twist and you have to continue reading, because this is a very interesting novel. Almost 234 or 35 pages are there, I think. So out of that 230 pages, only 2 or 3 pages were given here in our lesson. So this novel was written by the great author Charles Dickens. We will learn something about Charles Dickens as well. See here, Charles Dickens, who was born on 1812 and died in 1870. He's a well-known English novelist. So he used to write a lot of English novels. Due to his father's imprisonment, his father was arrested. When he was a child, his father was arrested. He might have done something wrong. He might have committed a crime. Charles left school and worked in a shoe factory. So as his father was arrested, he left his school and worked in a shoe factory. When his father was arrested, he had to look after his family. That's why he went to a shoe factory and started working there. While he was working as an office boy, then he started working as an office boy. He launched his writing career. It means he started his writing career. He started writing something. His novels, Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, Pickwick Papers, Bleak House, A Tale of Two Cities, and David Copperfield brought him name all over the world. So these are the great novels which had been written by Charles Dickens. So see that names once again. One is Oliver Twist, second one is Great Expectations, third one is Pickwick Papers, Bleak House, A Tale of Two Cities, and David Copperfield. So these all novels brought him name and fame all over the world. During our childhood days, we used to go to the library and we used to read a lot of stories. So we knew, in our childhood itself, we knew who Charles Dickens is. So do you have the habit of going to a library and reading some novels? No, you don't have that habit, isn't it? but you can read a lot of stories using your mobile phone. Are you utilizing that? I don't think so. So in mobile phones, you have many other things to watch. YouTube videos are there, isn't it? And some other social networking channels like Facebook or WhatsApp and some Twitter and all. So don't waste your time on those all things, but you can read beautiful stories using your mobile phone and computer. So spare your time for reading as well. Okay, he went on lecture tours to America and got literary reputation. So from England, he went on lecture tours to address somebody, to make a speech. He went to America and got literary reputation. He became very, very famous. He focused on social issues and human ailments in his works. So his works is mainly based on social issues like child labor and all, and human ailments in his works. So this is all about Charles Dickens. And your homework is you all should read these lessons at least 2 times, because already I told you, I don't know how you can read the lesson, but every day if you at least read 2 or 3 paragraphs, you can improve your reading skills. Not only reading skills, but writing skills as well. So I request you to go ahead with reading the lesson every day. At least 2 or 3 paragraphs every day can improve your reading skills, even your grammatical skills as well. Okay, this is the end of this session, and thank you all.
Good morning, one and all. Welcome to Shanvi Learning Services. Lesson number 2, Cell, the basic unit of life, biology. Okay, yesterday we have discussed about observing an onion peel. Okay. Here, are there any differences between these two figures? If so, what are they? The onion peel cells that you observed are plant cells. Do animal cells also look like similar to these cells? Here, observing an onion peel, plant cell, and observing a matchstick, plant cell also. Here, are there any differences between that? Are there any differences between the two figures? If so, what are they? Are the onion peel cells that you observed or plant cells? Like onion peel cells or plant cells? Here we have a doubt. Do animal cells also look similar to these cells? We had observed up to now onion peel cells, which belongs to plant cells. Now we have a doubt. Do animal cells also look like on plant cells? Do animal cells also look similar to these cells? Now let us observe cells from our own body, animal cells. Before that, please look at the screen, all of you. The onion peel cells, what we had observed yesterday. Here, figure number 4, onion peel cells without stain. Without a stain. Onion peel cells without stain. How the arrangement of cells? How the arrangement of cells is there? Just you look at the screen. Did you observe all? Because now we are going to observe animal cell, human cheek cell. This comes under animal. Up to now we had observed about plant cells. Okay? Onion peel cells without a stain. Observing human cheek cell, because we had a doubt, do animal cells also look similar to these cells? Do animal cells also look similar to plant cells? Let us observe. Observing human cheek cell now. The human beings comes under animal category, right? Yes. Now, if we observe the human cheek cell, then let us compare after that the difference in between plant cells and animal cells. So now, observing human cheek cells, you have already prepared a temporary slide of an onion peel, right? In last class, you have already prepared a temporary slide of an onion peel. Here now, prepare a slide of your own cheek cell. You have to prepare a slide of your own cheek cell. Your cheek cell. On cheek cell. Here, so before going to collect that cheek cell, what we have to do? Right. In our mouth, many bacteria are there. So you have to wash your mouth cleanly before you collect the shampoo. Wash your mouth cleanly. Okay. Take a clean wooden or plastic spoon. Take a clean wooden or plastic spoon. Because if you take any steel or somewhat, you will get injured. So you have to take a clean wooden or plastic spoon and scrap the inner surface of your cheek. Scrap the inner surface of your cheek. Keep two things in mind. Firstly, wash the spoon thoroughly before using it. You have to wash the spoon thoroughly before using it. This is a precaution. Keep two things in your mind before going to do activity. Wash the spoon which you are using. That's clean. You have to clean that. You have to wash that. Before going to use that wooden or plastic spoon, you have to wash the spoon thoroughly before using that. This is the first one. What is first one? Wash the spoon thoroughly. Wash the spoon thoroughly before using it. Next, second one. Do not scrape. Do not scrape too hard, or else you may hurt yourself. The first thing you have to keep in your mind before going to do that activity, wash the spoon, wooden spoon or plastic spoon, what you have selected. That spoon you have to wash thoroughly before using it. And second one, you have to keep in your mind, don't scrape too hard. Don't scrape too hard, or else you may hurt yourself. If you scrape hardly, or if you use, instead of the wooden or plastic spoon, if you use steel, while you are scraping, you will get injured. So don't scrape too hard and don't use steel spoon. You have to use wooden or plastic spoon, and while you are scraping, you don't scrape hardly. If you scrap hardly, you may hurt yourself. Right or not? Yes. Now take the scrapping that you have collected for the sample and place it in a drop of water taken on a slide. You have to collect one slide, and on that slide with help of dropper you have to drop 1 or 2 drops of water on that. Okay, this sample what you have collected by scraping, take the scraping that you have collected and place it in a drop of water taken on a slide. Already before scrapping you have to be ready with the slide. With help of dropper you have to drop a 1 or 2 drops or 3 drops of water on a slide and be ready. After scrapping you have to collect that scrapping as a sample and place that sample in a drop of water taken on a slide. It should not get dry. Okay, cover the slide with a cover slip. As we have discussed in last class, when you have collected the sample on a slide, we have to cover gently with cover slip. If not, that particular sample will get disturbed by the air, or may dust particles will fall on that, and we cannot see, we cannot observe under microscope properly. To avoid that all disturbance problems, we have to cover it with a cover slip. Next, observe the slide under the microscope. Draw the figure of what you have observed. As I told, when you are going for observation, you have to be ready with observation book and pencil. With eyepiece, what you are observing under the microscope, you have to draw in your observation book what you have seen. Okay? Draw the figure of what you have observed under the microscope. The cells that you see would be very similar to those shown in a figure number 5. The cells that you see would be very similar to those shown in textual figure number 5. Is the outer covering of both the types of cells similar? Please look at the screen. Figure number 5, human cheek cells without stain. Okay. So here, once again recall that observing human cheek cells and what precautions we have to follow, how do that activity. You have already prepared a temporary slide of an onion peel. The observation of cells arrangement in activity 2. Now prepare a slide of your own cheek cell. Now we are observing that animal cells, how the arrangement of animal cells in tissues. Are the animal cells are similar to the plant cells? We had a doubt, that's why we are doing this activity, observing human cheek cells. So you have to collect a sample to prepare a slide. Here, now prepare a slide of your own cheek cell to observe that arrangement of cells. So before going to collect that sample, you have to wash your mouth cleanly. Okay? Take a clean wooden or plastic spoon. Don't use steel or other metallic spoons. You may get hurt and you may get injured by scraping, while scraping that cheek. And scrap the inner surface of your cheek. scratch the inner surface of your cheek. Not very hardly, smoothly you have to do this. Keep two things in your mind while doing this activity. The first thing is, wash the spoon thoroughly before using it. What you have to do? Wash the spoon thoroughly before doing it. And before using that spoon. The second one, don't scrape too hard or else you have to do that very smoothly. If you do that very hardly, you may get hurt yourself and you may get injured. Now take the scraping that you have collected from your cheek and place it in a drop of water taken on a slide. So before place that a particular shampoo, you have to take a slide. On that slide you have to drop 1 or 2 drops of water. Now slide is ready. Water drops also ready on the slide. Now what shampoo you have collected from your cheek, smoothly that cheek shampoo you have to place in a drop of water taken on a slide. Then gently cover the slide with a cover slip. That particular shampoo you have to cover gently with a cover slip. Cover a slip. Observe the slide under the microscope. Because we cannot see with our naked eye, we have to observe under the microscope. Draw the figure of what you have observed. As I told you clearly, while you are observing, you have to be ready with your observation book and you have to draw what you have observed under the microscope in your observation book with a pencil. The cells that you see under the microscope would be very similar to those cells are shown in figure number 5. Yes, you look at the screen. Vanilla, SRMS school. Please be attentive. Okay. So please look at the screen. What you had observed under the microscope and textual figure number 5. Both you can observe. The cells that you see would be very similar to those shown in figure number 5. Just you observe here. On the screen, left side, the observation diagram of you under the microscope. Right side textual figure, figure number 5, human cheek cell without stain. Okay, here given the cells that you see would be very similar to those shown in figure number 5. Compare left side and right side figures. Is the outer covering of both the types of cells similar? Here the arrangement of cells would be very similar to those shown in figure number 5, human cheek cell without stain. Here we got without stain in activity 2, without stain in activity 3. What is stain, sir? What is stain? Here cells are stained, children. Cells are stained to enhance visualization of the cell under microscope. Cells are stained to enhance visualization of the cell under the microscope. Okay. Stains are frequently used to highlight the structures in biological tissues for weaving. Okay. Why we should use stain? Stains are frequently used to highlight structures. Which structure is very difficult to find. The different parts, different cells in the tissue. At the time, we have to use that stain to highlight the structure in biological tissues for weaving. Okay, stain is used to define biological tissues. Okay, now stain. Cells are stained to enhance visualization of the cell under the microscope. Stains are frequently used to highlight structures in biological tissues for weaving, and stains are used to define biological tissues. Biological tissues. Here it is without stain because no need of this here. We can see the arrangement of cells. Okay. See here, figure number 5, left and right. The arrangement of cells would be very similar. Here given would be very similar to those figure number 5. No, just you observe. Yes, exactly. In figure number 5, just you observe left and right figures. The arrangement of cells are almost all similar. Okay, with a little gap in middle, how the 4 cells are arranged. Like that, same manner here in left side in circular diagram also, the cells in between the cells little gap is there. The arrangement is also same, similar to right side diagram. This is the arrangement of cells in human cheek cell. Now you can decide the arrangement of cells in human tissue and plant tissue, both are similar or any change. Okay, so there are no gaps systematically arranged, but here little gap is there. Okay, so like that we can see that the particular changes in arrangement of cells under the microscope by collecting the samples. Onion. In onion, we have observed how the cells are arranged. That comes under plant. Cheek cell we had observed that comes under animal. So here just you compare how the cells are arranged in plant and animal cells, animal tissues. Okay. Please stand line. See, now let us discuss about the great person Robert Brown discovered the nucleus in 1833. Robert Brown traveled to Australia to carry out a natural research. He studied a 1700 plant species. 1700 plant species he studied. He traveled to Australia to carry out a natural research. Okay. Took over the Banksian botanical collection in the British Museum. Took over the Banksian botanical collection in the British Museum. While observing, Robert Brown collected plant cells. He discovered an opacous part in the middle of the cell. Okay. While observing, he collected plant cells. He discovered what he discovered while he collected plant cells. While he collecting plant cells, he discovered an opacous part in the middle of the cell. Middle of the cell. And named nucleus. Who named nucleus? Robert Brown. Robert Brown. Okay. While his observation, he collected, while observing collected plant cell, he discovered an opacous part in the middle of the cell. So opaque, what is opaque? Not transparent. Not able to see thoroughly, not transparent. Okay, while he is observing that, he discovered an opaque, a transparent spot in the not transparent part, that is opaque spot in the middle of the cell, and named it the nucleus. Named it the nucleus. Findings were published in the Linnean Society paper in 1833. He discovered that its structure was directly related to the cellular tissue. Okay, while observing collected plant cells, he discovered an opaque spot in the middle of the cell and named in the nucleus. So findings were published in Linnean Society paper in 1833. He discovered that its structure was directly related to the cellular tissue. The opaque part is here in middle. That is a nucleus. He named that is a nucleus. Now, he is a great person, Robert Brown, who discovered the nucleus. See? A significant observation of Robert Brown. The observation of a scientist named Robert Brown, as I told you just now, 1773 to 1858. Robert Brown. Have made a significant contribution to our understanding of cells among different parts of a cell. The nucleus is the most well-known part. Nucleus is the most well-known part. So it is generally believed that Blaise Fontana, 1730 to 1805, most scientists and few other scientists first saw the nucleus in the epithelial cells. Where they saw? They saw the nucleus in the epithelial cells. The outermost layer of the animal body. What is epithelial cells? The outermost layer of the animal body contains epithelial cells. Epi, outer. In the 18th century, the credit for observing the nucleus in different kinds of cells and recognizing it as an integral part of all cells goes to Robert Brown. Okay, children. While observing cells in the epidermis or orchid leaves. Orchid leaves or epidermis. Epi means outer. Dermis. Derma means what? Skin layer. In outer layer of orchid leaves. Epidermis of orchid leaves. Brown noticed a circular spot. Don't think how leaf will have skin. The outer layer is a epidermis. Okay. Outer, how we do we have skin like that? Outer layer is a epidermis of orchid leaves. Brown noticed a circular spot that was slightly more opaque than the surrounding areas. In image 6 we can see. I will show that image also. He noted that similar structures were present in other cells as well. Similar structures are present in other structures as well. Brown claimed that this structure was an integral part of the cell. This particular structure, opaque structure, was The particular structure was an integral part of the cell and called it is nucleus. NuCleus. NuCleus, nucleus. This was in the year 1831. It means that there was a gap of around 180 years between the first. See children, this was in the year 1831. It means that there was gap. How much gap is there? Of around 180 years between the first recorded observation of cells. Okay, first recorded observation of cells. There was 180 years gap is there. Around the years 1650 and 1831. And the observation of the nucleus. Okay. Next, see here. As he had told that image 6, Brown noticed a circular spot that was slightly more opaque than the surrounding areas. Image 6. I will show now here. Image 6. Look at the screen, all of you. You can see stomata, cell wall. In every cell, opaque structure is a dot-like structure. That is nucleus. That is nucleus. NuCleus. And stomata, cytoplasm. In the above figure, we can see 3 stomata including nucleus, right? Please look at the screen. In the above figure, we can see 3 stomata including nucleus. Here, this is stomata, this stomata. What is stomata? Stomata is a nose of the plant. Okay. What is the function of stomata? Exchange of gases. Stomata involving the function of exchange of gases. So how our nose is involving in the exchange of gases, like that is stomata also involving in the exchange of gases. That's why we are considering the stomata as a nose of the plant. As we discussed in last class, the cells are arranged in different way that depend on their function. Okay. So depend on their function, they will make their arrangements. So here 2 cells surrounded by stomata, those cells are guard cells. Those cells are guard cells, which is involving the exchange of gases, that is stomata. Stomata is considered as a nose of plant, because with respect to our nose, we are comparing that our nose is involving in the exchange of gases. That's why we are considering that stomata is a nose of the plant, because that is also involving in the exchange of gases. So in the above figure, figure number 6, textual figure number 6, we can see 3 stomata including nucleus. These are the pores. Pores means what? Holes. These are the pores through which the leaves exchange the gases. These are the pores through which the leaves exchange the gases. Okay. So here 3 stomata are there, including nucleus. These are the pores. These are the pores through which the leaves exchange the gases. As I told you, the exchange of gases taking place by the stomata So it is a nose of the plant we can consider. Okay. The next. Let us do activity 4. Observation of the nucleus in onion peel cells. Observation of the nucleus in onion peel cells. For this, you need to peel a membrane from an onion. How to peel already we have discussed it in last class. Okay. Let us recall once. Please stay on line. See here. Peel an onion and cut out a small fleshy portion from the bulb. Figure number 3a. Break this piece into 2 small parts and try to separate them slowly. Figure number 3b. You will notice a thin translucent membrane holding the 2 pieces together. Take out the membrane, cut a small piece from it, so that you can use as a shampoo, right? Now, likewise, you need to peel a membrane from an onion once again. Now, keep this membrane on a slide. Keep that shampoo on a slide and add 1 or 2 drops of the stain. The stains also given here. Saffronin also can use, and methylene blue or red ink. So here we have saffronin, methylene blue, red ink as a stain. So which is available for you, you can select that, and after collecting that you have to, after collecting the sample, that you just spread on a slide and add 1 or 2 drops of the stain, the saffronin or methylene blue or red ink. Why we should use this particular stain color? Why? To define biological tissues clearly, or to enhance visualization of the cell. To enhance visualization of the cell. Okay. Or to highlight structures. To highlight structures in biological activity like this, we have to use a stain. Saffronin, methylene blue or red ink. These are Viva question, children. You have to know why we have to use stain. What is a stain? Okay. You got it now clearly about the stain. Okay. See, after spreading the sample on the slide uniformly, you have to drop 1 or 2 drops of the stain, saffronin, methylene blue or red ink, your wish. Cover this with a cover sleeve. Gently, you have to cover it with a cover sleeve. As I told you, why we need to cover it with cover sleeve. And leave it for about 5 minutes. Leave it for about 5 minutes. Then add water drop wise. You have to add water drop wise, drop by drop, drop by drop. Don't add at a time. In that float, it will disturb. Shampoo will disturb. Okay. Cover sleeve and leave it for about 5 minutes. Then add water drop wise from one side of the cover sleeve. While removing the extra water with a filter paper from the other side. Okay. When you cover the champion with cover slip, leave that for about 5 minutes. Then add water. Then add water drop by drop wise. From one side of the cover slip while removing the extra water with a filter paper from the other side. Okay, now you have to add drop wise from one side of the cover slip while removing the extra water with the filter paper from other side. From other side, when you are removing the extra water with the filter paper, you have to add water drop wise because the shampoo should be in wetness. This will help in washing away the extra stain. If extra stain also, it will be problem, children. We cannot observe under the microscope properly. The total will look blue or red or something like. We cannot observe that particular dots. So that's why we have to remove the extra stain. From one side, we have to remove the extra stain with the help of that tissue paper, while other side you have to drop by drop that water to remove the extra stain. Now observe this slide under the microscope. Okay, children. As time up, I'm going to wind up the session. Let us meet with beautiful slides in next session. Let us continue this activity in next session. Thank you one and all.